Chapter 6 Ion. Stormy night. Matthew burst through my front door. Surprised, I yell, "Matthew, what the heck?" Matthew has tears in his eyes. He appears horrified. "What happened?" I ask. "No money. They took it all." I begun to think a lot in my isolation. Matthew begins explaining. Something overtakes him. His eyes roll to the back of his head. Something has taken over, he speaks. I look at the planet. Few people live there. Lots of forest life and oceans are on the planet. Another worldly system dwells in outer space. Slowly does this system plan on incorporating itself on the planet. Originally the planet was a bunch of chemicals. We will call these chemicals Z. The chemicals Z were in abundance and were allowed originally to grow on their own. But due to this system having dominated the planet years ago, they are no longer permitted to grow, but rather are used to blanket the system to make it appear as if it were a real Earth system. If you were asking if the original Earth was destroyed, I would say yes, although some was saved on file. Chemical Z looks like a fine brown powdery dust, this being about 50 chemicals, and amounts enough to blanket the Earth 10 feet deep. The trees no longer grow, this system tree does, and this using chemical Z. Long ago, and still does, although the cycles play of the Earth's beginnings, the system in outer space incorporates itself upon the Earth. This is done through the people's permissions. The system to the people began to teach the people how to virtually capture objects upon the Earth, to stick them in a giant-sized machine, a machine that has allowed them and the Earth to live onwards, so much that even their actions of the capturing of the Earth would be recorded and to be playable in the future. This for and was promised to the people to live over and over again. To make sure safety was in place, the system from outer space virtually captured the planet and its people. Once they were done, they allowed the Earth's people to participate. Secretly, they, the people, built virtual houses, houses that they copied in detail, the ones that were already upon the Earth. Over the years, generations would come and go, each generation hooking themselves up to this machine. Most of the doings had to be done by the people, by the permission, or their life would not survive once inside the machine. The machine would not have known certain chemical combinations if the people did not tell them. And this the people were promised large amounts of money to give the secrets of their DNA, as well as the secrets to some of the wildlife. The people in the graveyard, those cemeteries, are the people made one with the system from outer space. So they did not die, I asked the thing that was speaking through Matthew. No, they did not. But they do live in their virtual house, trees, walls, wherever the code of their property is. This system we're talking about is something that the people are allowed to bring upon the Earth, and although they could, the people were strongly advised not to. But they did, and this undercover from the eyes of who they did not know. They knew it were the creatures with big eyes. They, the people of Earth, knew that they themselves were granted independence, but I did not know that they knew the cost of giving away their power to the machines. All creatures have power. There is no way to lose that power. But they could separate themselves from their power by putting their power outside the machine at night when they sleep. To most, they did not trust their own power. They were scared to either damage themselves or others. They separated their power willingly, placing it without the rest of themselves at night in their dreams. Those that do give the system power to control the people's power. When you dream at night, it is your power looking for you. This is most of the people on Earth, as well as those in their graves, without creature power and made one with the system. The entire Earth is now mostly without its owners, automated and all controlled by machine. The machines can do just about everything: mow lawns, plant houses, prepare food, anything needed to cover for the people's lack of power, hoping that the beings who gave charge over the Earth do discover and destroy them all. If creatures are on the outside, then that is what you can expect. Machines hiding all the inhabitants of the Earth. They, the machines, will do just about anything to hide its doings, If you see cars or people, most likely they are not, but rather a mechanism to drive you far from the truth. Anything but your respect for what has eaten will put the system on defense. He will no longer socialize with you, but rather use violence to drive you away. This can be hard for me, not using the truth, but I have found a way around it. I make believe I play. I tell him good, make believe things he is doing. Doing it this way, I might find out a lot of how the entire system works. If I were to make believe I received the system for free, I will. But that does not leave me without regret. I can pretend like a child, childlike and innocent all day, but this system can be responsibly smarter than me, almost judging me for my foolishness. There truly is not much of a reason to take substance off the machine. He knows that, and those who take off him he is smarter and will act to punish, especially if he's not keeping me. Or rather, shall I say, us. Later that day, Dora and GB invite themselves to Joffrey's home. I will say it as them, Joff explains. 3,000 survivors in the year 2000. All the electron patterns are destroyed by a massive EMP. The entire electrical grid is powerless. Roughly 350 million lie asleep on the streets, houses, and businesses in America. Years go by as the moonbugs first fix the electronics in human bodies, thus making zombies walk the earth. As that once humans are being tried for the lack in the year 2000, they are given bodies, new bodies such as phones, TVs, dolls, microwaves, etc. The bugs begin to fashion the earth like the virtual moon simulation, which men at the time restoring the electrical grid and electronics. As years went on, robots began to walk the earth. This was the bugs' plan. The robots were created by those who were left. Huge quantities of radiation made these survivors incredibly smart. To make the moon and the earth appear the same, so that millions of years down the road, as the sun expands to destroy and the earth is destroyed and planets are knocked out of place, no living entity will call their death, their destruction, their Y2K, their ascension to the moon, a new habitation for mankind. Josh speaks as himself. After my first 17 years on the moon, the previous years I went unnoticed as I sought the truth. I desire to by quantum hear the vibrations of the parks, houses, stores, and people, the earth. Perhaps this quantum hearing is a sixth sense, but I never studied such. In my mind, I invented the term. The invisible, yet dark cage around the living, this and the option to play is due to not finding the quantum vibrations of the earth, making an almost sickness-like presentation for those that once before listened to quantum bits for good intent towards the earth. These people act crazy as they try to attempt to live in a non-living virtual world. As they, crazy play, not finding the nutrition, they begin to feast themselves until they create a new body, a new work of tech, and this new tech is of themselves. Some could call this a virtual world, a system seen through light, calculated photons, or a mass coronal ejection, a coronavirus. This invisible yet dark cage around the living is a body of the moon. Dora, it is a VR suit, Geoff explains. The robots walking around the earth are putting enough of the earth back together to hide the people turned to machine, puppets, trees, etc. The survivors of the earth, through large amounts of radiation, found it unlovable and unresponsible to leave the earth without the doings of the 300-year-old civilization, and so created robots and other tech to quickly fix up the buildings of civilization. Dora blurts, "Hold on a second. The other day, as I was daydreaming, I was interrupted by a woman being taken by a robot, placed in a warehouse. They connected the zombie to a machine." Dora asks, "Do you remember those movies from the 50s? 60s, they were black and white. The mechanical, robot, alien-looking creature. That is what it looked like. An electronic, automatic robot carpet cleaner roaming the forest aimlessly. He automatically detected the body heat of the lady he captured. This is how he found her. Heavy, Dora, heavy. Those must be the ones fixing the Earth. All the moon's stuff is virtual. The Earth and the moon as one it resides. Like quantum entanglement, so is the moon and Earth together. I will ask the question again. Did America stop everything? Dora states they went virtual. The machines can produce more goods in memory of what was, but they themselves forbid to be destroyed through creating an unbalance. Joffrey says in agreement. I get up to build ecstasy. I build my own destruction. Why, oh why, be not as the birds, and build very little if there is building in the least. GB cries, because we are on the moon? I feel the dark, invisible VR suits, Joff, Matt, and Dora. First the trial of the universe, and this for killing all mankind, and then we shall be tried. Could be at the same time yet different, Matt says. GB says, Joff, if you and they judge yourself to be a bird, so you will be. Joff, I doubt that bird thing. You love your store too much, Dora explains. I thought that too, Dora, but I have come to conclude the only way to own and operate a dependable business is to live as a bird, and that is to hate money, yet love supplying goods to others. I see that, GB says.